do we think it's a slippery slope as far as educating our children to be orthodox, but yet having them engage in secular society? The answer is no. In order to make this world the way that God needs it to be, you need to engage with society, secular society, because if we would just close ourselves off in an Orthodox ghetto somewhere, then how would that accomplish the global purpose of creation, which is not for us to get to heaven, but rather to bring heaven down to earth? So in order to bring heaven down to earth, we have to engage with everyone and anyone and have the conversation about why was this world created in the first place, or what's the purpose of creation? So it would be contrary to God's purpose if we didn't engage with secular society. So the point is to engage with secular society, but to engage in a meaningful, sort of heavenly way, in a purposeful way, not just to have a good time.
And the best thing for our children is to teach them and show them, what the purpose of creation is, why we do the Jewish things we do, and that it's not just about how we personally choose to live our lives. When you're engaging with society, then you're forced to explain the deeper understanding to your children, which is actually the best thing for your children. When you're closed in a society where everyone's doing the same thing, you're not necessarily forced to give your children the whole big picture of what they're a part of.
Why would God take a soul that's in heaven and send he or she down to earth? What could be better than being in heaven? So God says, I'm sending you down to earth to engage on earth and to engage with other human beings in order to bring heaven down to earth, not just to live here on earth for 80, 90 years and go back to where you started from. So the whole purpose of creation, the whole purpose of bringing a child, another human being into the world, is to engage with society and uplift it and elevate it to the way God needs it to be. What is the most challenging part about being Orthodox, and how do we support each other in that challenge and in that struggle? Well, I think in general, the problem with being Orthodox or very religious, it can become very self-centered, very self-focused. Like, am I doing all these Orthodox rituals and observances in order to get from God? And is God going to be nice to me? And is he going to repay me? And what if it feels like I'm not getting back as much as I'm putting in? Is it worth it? So that's the real danger zone of any religion, because what's the problem with most religions? It's you serve God and you're intended to get some prize, and it's usually in the afterlife. But then are you really serving God, or are you serving yourself? It's like putting away some money in your 401k plan. So in essence, the reason that we do all these rituals and observances and Orthodox behavior is not to get from God, but to give God what he needs from us. What I get from God, ultimately it's not important. As long as God is getting what he needs, that's all I care about. And it's the same thing in marriage. Am I a good husband? I don't know. You know what it takes to be a good husband? As long as my wife is getting what she needs. Am I a good father? You know what it takes to be a good father? As long as my children are getting what they need. Am I an Orthodox Jew? You know what it takes to be an Orthodox Jew? Like 613 things? It's impossible. As long as God is getting what he needs. So I'm trying to do the best of what God needs, not the title, and not focusing, is this good for me? Am I getting my fair share? I'll never be happy. So when you wake up in the morning, the goal is not to be Orthodox. The goal is not to be religious, but rather give God what he needs. Give my wife what she needs. Give my children what they need. Give every other human being what they need. And that's how you'll have a united together world.
That's called a relationship. When we look around our kitchen and we see a kosher kitchen, and we have the milk side and the meat side and double dishes and double pots and pans, what do we need that for? It's like, how did this happen to our kitchen? How do we have milk and meat and double? God's opinion is alive and well in our kitchen. So every time we notice our kitchen and we not notice the double dishes and the extra effort we have to put in to keep kosher, we're noticing that God is with us in this home. The relationship is alive and well, and that gives us joy. So if you stay focused on the who you're doing it for, there's always joy. But the moment you lose focus and it becomes about what you have to do as a Jew, then it does get hard. So how do we support each other? Is we support each other in reminding each other what this is all about.